Welcome back, Year 10, and here we go today with aerobic respiration. Now we're moving on for photosynthesis, as we've already discussed, and we're now talking about aerobic respiration. So here we go. Learning outcomes. We're going to recall the word and symbol equation. We're going to be able to describe cellular respiration, and we're also going to be looking at why cellular respiration is so important for all living things. So, pens down. 1 to 8 in the margin and go for it. There are 8 questions here. See what you can respond. What do you already know? Pause the slide now. So here are the answers. It's the purpose of the alveoli. So this is where oxygen is absorbed from the air into the bloodstream, and also where carbon dioxide is moved from the bloodstream back out into the air. So it's an exchange surface. What are the adaptations of our alveoli? Now, there are lots of things you could have put here. So let's look at the 3 that we're trying to make sure that we get each time. They're thin, so therefore there is a short diffusion pathway. Okay, they're folded. This increases our surface area, and they have a large capillary network which maintains our concentration gradient. So there is always movement from high to low. Number 3, what molecule binds to oxygen and transfers it around the body? So it's the hemoglobin in the red blood cells. And so question 4, how are the red blood cells adapted for their function? Some fancy words here. Biconcave. Now, essentially, they look like a refresher mint. So they're a slight dimple each side, which means that they have this nice large surface area to pick up more oxygen. They have no nucleus, so they have a greater capacity for carrying oxygen. Worth noting that one. So, number 5, what actually makes the blood red? The pigment, the hemoglobin. What is respiration? It is the release of energy. Number 7, why do organisms need to respire? To release energy for essential life processes, such as movement. And where does respiration occur? And the answer for that is the mitochondria. If you don't remember about mitochondria, take this opportunity now to refresh your memory with your knowledge of cells. So, here we go. We know that foods contain sugar, and we know that we can break down starches into sugars. But how do we get the energy from that sugar? Take a minute just to write down your thoughts on how we get that energy from the sugar. So you could talk about things here, such as the fact that respiration occurs in the cell, and the respiration uses sugar as a substrate. So here I've got a picture of a mitochondria. Now you need to draw this out, okay, and I suggest that you also label it. You'll see that inside my bean shape, we've got this folded matrix that goes up and down. Now, this is an enzyme-driven reaction, and those enzymes can be found on the mitochondria's surface area, on the inner membranes. So the more of the inner membrane we've got, the more enzymes that are available, therefore the more respiration that can occur. So we need to be linking these concept of surface area, enzymes, and reactions. So we talk about this being the inner matrix. And it's a cellular process. So therefore, although the cell requires the products of respiration, the respiration occurs only in my mitochondria. Think about this for a second and write down what you think. This is often a 2-mark exam question. So why do you think muscle cells have more mitochondria than skin cells? We'll come back to that one, but think about it. So, what do all these living organisms have in common? Yes, you're right. They are all moving, and this requires energy to do so. Mammals and animals all move due to muscular contractions. Plants don't use muscular contractions, but they still can move. but this does require large amounts of energy. Write down how you think these different organisms gain that energy to move. So, respiration. I'm hoping that's what you've all put, because that's one of our Mrs. Nerg, our 7 life processes. Unlike photosynthesis, it's exothermic. It's a process that releases energy, and we call that chemical release of energy ATP, adenine triphosphate. And we need that energy for life processes to take place. Now, you'll notice that I'm talking about the word releasing. Okay, I'm not talking about making or synthesizing, but we are releasing. By releasing that energy, because remember, energy cannot be created or destroyed, it can merely be transferred. We're releasing it back out into the environment of the cell. Here we've got the word and symbol equation. This is aerobic respiration because it requires oxygen, in comparison to anaerobic respiration, which does not require oxygen. So, as you would expect in aerobic respiration, one of our reactants is going to be oxygen and the other one glucose. Now, if we're a plant, we're going to synthesize our own glucose, and if we're a mammal or bacteria, we are going to absorb that glucose through another method of consumption. We then produce water vapor, and carbon dioxide, which is released as a gas. And we also get the release of energy, because remember, it's exothermic. So, organisms need energy for chemical reactions to build those small molecules into large molecules. And we called this anabolic, okay? The building of larger molecules. Movement, okay? Plants will need the movement of ions up from the roots with the water in through to the root hair cells, into the vascular tissue, and up the plant. Mammals and animals will use muscles for physical moving of the organism around within its environment. And keeping warm. Mammals in particular will require energy from respiration to maintain our homeostatic mechanisms and maintaining our internal environment. Right, take a second. Fill in your word equation, then write the symbol equation underneath, and explain where we get the glucose and oxygen for respiration from, what happens to the CO2 and water, and give the 3 reasons why the energy is important for all living things. Keywords are on the top right hand of your side of your screen. Pause now and complete the activity. And here are the answers. So we've got glucose from our food that we eat, and we get rid of carbon dioxide through exhaling. That's the physical process of removing CO2 from the body. We get rid of our water through sweating and urination, and we get the oxygen needed by inhalation. Lots of people get confused between respiration and inhalation, or respiration and exhalation. Inhaling and exhaling is just the physical movement of pulling air in and expelling it out of your body, whereas respiration is a chemical process using that oxygen to combine with glucose to give us the energy for life processes. So, further challenge. We've talked about this a little bit more. So, what we're going to do now is do an exam question. And we are going to look at these 2-part questions, 10 marks, which was from the 2018 paper on respiration, and the sort of things they're asking you to think about. Pause the slide and do the question. And the second question I'd like you to do is email your answers to the 10-mark question to myself, Miss Rigoletto. That's A Rigoletto at knoleacademy.org. Thank you to those people that have already done it. You're already awesome. What I also want you to do is now have a go at the 2 self-assessment quizzes that go with this. They both can be found on Samlearning, and they take less than 5 to 7 minutes each. You should be able to quickly do them. Now, the first quiz links the idea of cells, photosynthesis, and respiration together as one continuous process and how those products are moved through those living organisms. The second quiz is explicitly just about respiration. Have a think about this. Do them. If you're stuck, email me. Thank you.